Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome here to the Realistic Performance League. After months of preseason testing and events, we're finally going to make our Le Mans Ultimate debut here for the season. It's the first season ever that we're going to be hosted, and similar to the broadcast over at Le Mans, is a sign of things to come here as it kicks off here at Lusail International Circuit here at Qatar. As we're going to see 20 minutes of qualifying upon us, and then following by that for a 70-minute race. It's going to be an absolutely exciting to see who will be crowned through RPL Le Mans Ultimate first ever champion here. All the complete for the hypercars here, as we mentioned before. Kickoff start here in the Middle East, in Qatar, start for in August. Then we're going to travel over through to Italy. Monza and Imola will host the next two rounds at September. Then followed over, staying in the European continent, through to Portimao in September in Iberia. Then over to Belgium in Spa, one of the oldest circuits to host endurance racing. 60 minutes through there. Then the Grand Le Mans will be the one to kick off start through the second half of the season on October, following through with the conclusions in South America at Int'l. Then it's over to Mecca and Sabring, then back over to the Asian continent of Fuji, and then we're going to finally wrap it up in around the same region where we stopped today in the Middle East at Bahrain in the Secure International Circuit. Quick also look through the teams as well, to the Peugeots for PJB and George and Pubu for 397 and 93 respectively. 51 of Gober and Owen, and 83 for Arjun and Wusso. Holds up for the Ferraris. Alex Matoki for the BMW in the 15. 20 for Nicky and Jordan, the other BMW as well. The two Porsches for TB and JTK in 397. Deschelier and Schitzer for 5 also for the Porsche. Then the two Toyotas of Chef and Josh for the 397, and then the 8 of Luke and Shanghai. And then finally kicking us off for the Valkyries, it will be 009 for Scarlett and Joe, and then 007 for Takumi and Goat. That will be the rosters that you're going to see through the course of this season, and it's going to be interesting to see who will be crowned the first ever pole sitter here at the hypercar class. Just about list under the minute left to go. The Puget, that's done extraordinarily well throughout the season, has done pretty good, rather in fact, to hold on to that practice lead as it stands. We're riding on board with him now. And indeed has done fairly well during pre-season testing, as we just ride on with him. Of course, 3/10 between himself and George, who's right in the middle of the mid-pack, has been looking forward to the closest man charging up for the field here in his Peugeot. Cameron Fields over in third, with Hughes in fourth, and Barrett through in fifth, and Grange completes for the top 6 as it stands. So might see some more coming over for qualified. Good performance though from Jay, at least Jay in Le Mans, means that he comes in fairly confident in regards to his performances, especially in the car in which he rides on as it stands. And you have to feel for Jay on what can he deliver, especially with the momentum sort of swinging down to his side. The Lusail International Circuit having been established here, founded in 2003, primarily a motorcycle venue. In fact, one of the most prestigious in this region, has just recently played host to Formula 1 in 2021, and then followed swiftly on through 2023, became a endurance kickoff to the endurance season in real life in 2023, while it also hosts pre-season testing and the prologue before cultivating with the Qatar event, and couldn't think of a better other way than to kickstart here the RPL Le Mans Ultimate Series than here in Lusail. JD Puget, fastest man on track, as we mentioned, just went across the line. That was his last bet. Everyone will be into the pits. 20 minutes of qualifying will soon begin, followed by that a very, very interesting 70-minute race. So we're going to see people going to go into the pits. There's no, don't think there'll be any forecast weather changes, I believe, for today. Seems to be dry all the way throughout. 30 degrees ambient temperature. Will be a lot hotter as the qualifying for progresses. Going to see the hypercars go a little bit more grip here as well, and that's all good in mind to keep apart. Going to be overcast, at least for qualifying as it stands. That means that won't be too much atmospheric temperature rises with the clouds sort of playing in a habit. Of course, being at night time, it should be fairly cool regardless. Of course, with it being 30 degrees and the climate in the Middle East, it's of course unique that you have such high temperatures here, especially if it's being hosted in where I think it is in real life back in February. 30 degrees is indeed very hot indeed. Looking for Cameron Fields will be the first ones to exit through the pit lane as it stands. And behind George Alp Williams, done pretty good in terms of his battle with Phil Bailey back over at Le Mans. He'll be closest one to Teapaju, and he'll be second man out through unqualified. The Toyota through Cameron has got a lot to work on through. Of course, not been extraordinarily strong as we've seen before in the Le Mans previously. It's still been a pretty good car nonetheless. Of course, with its real life struggles, could be of course mitigated for how well Cameron does. See how we'll do. Well, now he'll be the first ones out for a track. Everyone else is just going to gently follow suit as they would like. Right on board for now. Of course, they're in the Kini flag of us all. We'll be able to see how he'll be able to make through. Tion Barrett also going to be going out for within his first one. And we're going to gently see right in with Cameron how he'll do for his first qualified run. And here we go, through the final corner he goes, and we're going to gently start off through our first time lap here, and we're going to see what he can muster. Okay, we go going through turn one, pretty tight, seeing a bit of a switch back over to Barreto, though it's more elongated, hugs it down for the apex, needs to try and get out for a good apex, he kind of does so, swings back round for another similar radius corner ahead for turn two, good exit there, just swings it around, flat out for three, hurt for the curb, just stay there, hug for the inside line, double apex for this 180 degree corner here for four, and then through five, just similar braking points here, just applying good pressure, then swings around here, one of the tightest braking points here, and a very good overtaking opportunity here through turn six. 26.3 indeed for his second time, a very short acceleration before has to break along again. This is a time a very longer corner than back in six, swings for around, then it's the S's for 8 and 9, very elongated for 8, brake hard for 9, let tap on the brakes, and then a very tight one here for 10, but then stretches out and then has a more elongated exit. Gonna see people trying to get early onto the throttle as much as they possibly can. Too much even for the throttle. Almost flat out through 12, and then here we go, the triple apex, 12 through 13, sort of bit to Turkey in turn 8, 12 and 13 are more closer, 14 more touch for the brakes, and then near 90 degree here for 15, more elongated, 70 degrees more like. And here we go, final braking zone, acute angle for turn 16, just hugs on very tight, early on accelerator means that you get more speed coming out from the exit, really important for the longest straight here. Cameron does not set a valid lap time, as his previous lap was brutally invalidated. But we'll see what George can do. One of the fastest man on track as it stands. 26.9 goes in for 142.6, and Shield buried him by 6/10. See what he can do. He's going up for 8 through 9. And they're going to be braking hard again through 10. See how he'll manage here. Cameron does one better than himself, at least. It's 26.1 compared to himself, 2/10 off for Tion. Second sector, 43.2 for Barrett, at least. It's indeed 4/10 faster. He's become purple for the first two sectors. Gonna set a pretty good representative lap time if he can muster through the final sector together. Out from 15 he goes, good acceleration on the exit. That brakes hard for 16. Let's see how early the accelerator he can go. Just flirts with it just a little bit, and then presses on full down. Down, completely down to the ground. How much is his time going to be improved by? Goes across the line, and his final sector time was invalidated. Following through with Josh Hughes now, as he does through the flank of Oates. George still the only man on track to have set a representative lap time now as it stands. As we see Cameron up ahead, he's actually done one better, 26.1 compared to George, 26.9, 42.8. And what can he do here? New pole, a provisional pole for him. And that is very good. And Josh Hughes responds as well. And look at the distance between these two. It's only about 600ths off between these two drivers. And that was extraordinarily close. Absolutely close indeed. And that will separate George from about to the rest by about 2 seconds as it stands. As you can see here through the tower, this is going to be the sort of gaps now as it stands. Just everyone else certainly coming in through into the pits. So we're going to see how else the rest of it will continue. Of course, I'll be keeping an eye on for the chats. If you want to pop by over, do indeed say hello. I will read back for your messages, especially for how long of an endeavor 90 to 70 minutes of the race here in Lusail would be. Josh does improve once again. If he'll be able to take a pole off from camera, I'm sure that will be swell. I hate the fake DB. Indeed, I did say I'll just answer to all chats. See what Josh can do though through the final corner. He goes. If there's any more improvement that he can do, it'll be enough to snatch away Cameron's provisional pole. Will it do so? He's been invalidated for the third sector, and that was unfortunate because it was looking to be purple. Appears to be from the first 2 sectors. Barrett, meanwhile, up into third, and a good performance from him indeed. Still 12 minutes left to go. Potentially anything can happen through these dying moments in qualifying. Oh, George! Too much for the apex. Through that corner, spins around, but won't be deterred at least. Still will be able to go for it again. Jade to put sets a representative lap time. 9/10 off from pole, but pretty good for him of 41.6 anyways. At least to put it on for the board. As I'll just gently get out through my stats as it stands. He'll be able to go for it again, or I think we're having another one for out on track. That was TL Barrett. Again, still just 3/10 off. No one seems to can better Cameron Fields' time is now a bit too much. Tracking steady for him. I think that will be invalidated. He'll have to return back over to the pits. Fortunately for Tian. Jay is just stretching out for his wheels as he's going to try and set for his representative lap time. I think George might be doing his 26.5 from the first sector. Off for the yes as he goes through 8 and 9. They're going to break hard through 10. Again, just very fairly stretches that out. Too much track extended out. I think that will be probably an invalidation for the Welshman. So okay, at least for the time being. I think we might see how it was. Luke was originally meant to be at the pits, but seems to be still being. For my time in screens, 10 minutes left to go here in qualifying. Of course, Fields and Hughes, the trailblazers here today. And Tion Barrett 3/10 off. Jade DePugit 9/10 off. George Rex out for the final corner. He'll have to probably go again in his Peugeot. I think certainly alone as it stands. He has managed to close the gap by 1 second. So it was validated in the end. But still just too much for himself to climb through up. But at least it's improvement for George. And that's the thing that really matters to him for the time being. Got someone up for there. Cameron's going to go for another run. Jay, except for the final corner, he's now going to start his representative lap time. Let's keep a track on it now. What can he do for turn 1? It's looking pretty good. Just not using much of the track width as I'm sure he might have, but it's just trying to look to see if he can climb the gap between himself and Barrett. Do you believe might be his I think might be teammate, if I remember correctly. Holds it on through, swings round, and then brakes hard for 6. Get a good exit. Does get a pretty good exit. And look at this. Purple in the first sector, 5 thousandths faster than the fastest first sector on track from Fields, I believe. 4-7, swings around 8, goes through 9, brakes hard for 10, similar to what we've seen from 6. If he's got a better exit here than Cameron, then we could be looking better. He hugs it actually through 11, and then immediately breaks over through 12, and then out through 13, and then again through 14 here. 1/10 off, not even his personal best himself, but it seems to be okay. The first sector can carry through lap times. From the final corner we go for Jay. What can he do here? Lots of time left remaining. Go for across the line. Purple. And 4th. Managed to climb it back to 3 tenths between himself and Barrett, and extends his deficit between himself and George Williams by another 3 tenths. So he did improve by 3 tenths, and pushes George, I think, just more out of reach for the time being. I'm pretty sure he did. TL Bar is washed, and fake TV is crying indeed. My boy. Oh dear. Let's see what George can do. Checks out through the triple apex complex. Then breaks hard through 15. Almost back in 7 degrees through 15. Hard for 16 he goes. Oh my word. I think that might have been might be too much on the throttle coming through the final corner, or a snap from the Peugeot. Was exactly what he would have hoped, at least with 6 minutes left to go. Still more than he could possibly do. With camera now. Through the final corner he goes. 27-0 first sector, 43-6 second sector. Crosses the line, not an improvement for himself. But Josh Hughes, meanwhile, I think might be looking for improvement. Purple first sector, so he's improved it by about 300ths, although 2 tenths slower. Second sector means that he's got a hell of a lap to try and climb through, and he slowed down, which I think he means that his final sector was invalidated. Can go again. 5 minutes left to go and a half. Seen people recover back from such deficits before, especially in the F1 league. Of course, all 3 tiers kicking off, screaming down to their next season here in RPL. A lot of different skill set needed, and also to mention with the affiliation between the F1 academies here and the Le Mans Ultima, I believe. Though I could be wrong. See if we have any other One's out on track. He does his first sector, personal best for himself, but I don't know, just anything much more that he can muster. Let's find out. Dion Barrett out for his lap. JJ Puget's not going to set another lap time, but I still have time to go. And George is also into the pits. Josh Hughes, personal best on the first sector. It's not the purple, but at least it's something to improve it. And in fact, it's improved it by nearly the gap that was between himself and Cameron. And again, struggling through the second sector. It's now 3 tenths off rather than 2. And, oh boy, a little bit of a tank slapper from him there. Keeps it under control, at least for the time being, which is still quite good. Through 15 he goes. Off track for Josh. Has another run, has a chance to go for again. And here we go. He'll definitely go again through here. Starting 7-11, the 7-11 car. So that's also pretty interesting to know. Cameron has gone off. He won't be able to improve through this lap, at least. I think he'll have enough just to go for again. Barrett still is on his, probably going to go for another represented lap time, I believe. 2 cars out on track now. Josh again, a great improvement through the first sector. Can he hold it in together through the second though? He's lost 2 tenths, 3 tenths. A bit of a wiggle out for the X on 6. Held over through 7. And then swings through the S's around through 8. Down through 9. Swings downhill. And then brakes hard down through 10. Good, decent exit from him. Is it going to be enough to get a green? 4 tenths! 4 tenths! Okay. Well, a wiggle through 12, 13. Keeps it under control through 14. It has a big gap. Just not seems to do very well to compare to Cameron's 42.8 that he did on the second sector. Josh is 43.3. Final corner he goes. At least he'll be able to make it stick as it stands. And crosses the line. Don't think that was an improvement. Still remains 6 hundredths off. As close as ever was could be to go qualified. Tion Barrett seemed to be advantageous for his second sector, I think. He'll have a chance to go for again. The only man on track in the remaining 90 seconds left of qualified. Oh, too much on through the exit. And fortunately, that will be all that he can possibly do now for the time being. Will there be any more time left to go? We'll see as the 60 seconds gently ticks down here at Lusail. But as it currently stands, Cameron Fields still holds on to the lead. Again, the deficit has not actually changed nor grown. It is still by 6 thousandths off. Following that, we have Josh Hughes, and can't do much to climb that deficit, especially having the struggles on the sector. Sector means that the best that he can only muster is just P2 at the moment. Tion Barrett 3rd, Jada Puget in 4th, and George Williams in P5. 30 seconds left to go. Yeah, just completely possible for anything to happen coming through in the race. And no one else will be saying their lap times, I believe. And that will be qualified over and done with. And Cameron Fields takes his first pole position here at the Le Mans Ultimate Series here at RPL, and just about beat his Toyota compatriot of Josh Hughes for that pole position. Josh Hughes can't do much to get his second sector up to speed, although really quick through sector 3 actually, because 31.3 for him and 31.6 for Cameron. So just having their advantages and disadvantages, we're all going to see that come through into the race. And
Teams and drivers go to the grid for a race start.
And we'll see that indeed. Starting over then for today's race, Cameron Fields through the left on row 1, Josh Hughes for row 2 for second place, Tion Barrett third, and Jay DePuget makes up for row 2. That'll be exciting to see. And George Williams, final car that has qualified, will be starting in row 5. Gonna see it gently come through to an end. We'll keep a track through the rest of the how the race performances as it goes on. Three seconds, just gently over to go. $20 seconds over, so gotta feel for the preparations and how that has come through to the race. 5-car grid here for the next 70 minutes. But a lot of momentum here to be carried through in RPL. A big momentum for Cameron to potentially be crowned the first ever, to potentially become RPL's first ever Le Mans Ultimate Series winner. Just see what he can do. Anyone's guesses to see how this race is going to develop. Both Toyotas leading out through the field. Keep an eye out for Barrett and DePuget behind. They'll be running later behind. So anyone's done very good for the races, and George has gone out for a surprise. Can pull off pretty good race pace if cornered. A 5-car duel here for the race win at Lusail. But Cameron is the one that's going to lead the way here. Waiting for the green flag to drop. The green flag drops. 70 minutes are underway. It's going to be looking to be a pretty good start, at least for Cameron. We're going to be going side by side, actually, between Cameron and Hughes. Heading down for turn 1. 3 wide. Barrett goes on. Lucas hugs it down for the inside line. Is it going to make the move? He will make the move. Incredible. And he might actually hold on to the lead. Josh Hughes tries to retaliate. He can't do much. Tion Barrett leads and hugs it down through turn 2 and does so pretty well, and denies Toyota from the first 2 rows at least a 1-2. Incredible start there from Barrett, and Hughes just falls up behind. Disastrous there from Cameron from the lead, all the way down to second. Bit of a collision, I believe, that was between Hughes and Cameron, and Cameron nearly loses it just once again, as you see with DePuget just behind. Battle for P3, the final podium spot. George almost looking down through. Actually, a bit of lazy issues. He'll just be about fine as it stands. Field starts to spread out for a little bit for the time being. And look at this. Karen's on through. And through the final sector they both go. Oh my word! Oh my word! And Cameron Fields benefits from Tion Barrett's mistake that allowed Josh Hughes to overreact way too much. Gets himself back up into second. The momentum has shifted over to Cameron's favour. Through the final corner they go. Bit of a battle between the background, between DePuget and George. George makes the first overtake for his LMU career. Oh, a bit of contact here through the final corner, and it's just a little bit of bumping going on through. DePuget still manages to try and hold on. Yes, he will. And George just has to follow back behind. Not quite making the move. Over through turn one. Bit of a lock up there from Jay. Out from the first corner. Swings round through. Elongated down through the second corner. And Jay holds him off. Down turn two. And good exit indeed from Jay. Just mitigates the fight for now. 5/10 off between himself and George from that exit. Oh my word! Int'l goes wide once again, and Cameron's going to be able to benefit through turn 6. And he makes the move, and we see background Josh Hughes goes bit to sideways. Int'l swings round for the outside through this corner. Through 7, comes for 8 and 9. And still Cameron Fields holds on to the lead for the time being. Wide through turn 10. Bit too wide wiggle there from Tian. Hughes can't really much benefit from it at the time being, only about 4/10. And through the final few corners they go. Cameron still holds on to lead. It's now 8/10 between himself and Barrett. Barrett that was leading for a bit is now suffering. Right on board now with Josh Hughes. Down through turn 1 they go. Pretty good clear view to see where he'll go. And also in comparison over to Barrett, of course, a very good start for the Porsche driver. And indeed, it's going to be a very big duel between the two Toyotas of Fields and Hughes against the two Porsches of Barrett and DePuget. Ooh, and a bit too much smoke! Cameron Fields goes off! He's going to rejoin in 4th, down for the inside. Down for the inside goes Hughes. Oh my word, and Int'l Barrett holds down for the inside of 7. This is super close racing we're seeing here. And what will happen here for Hughes? Hughes at least still doing just well for now. BR just behind the 438 and 438 for Josh and Jay. 44.6 for Barrett and 43.5 for Cameron. 53 for George, apparently for his best lap. Oh, someone's bit of gravel hit there for Josh through the final corner. There goes. There's Cameron Fields in the background trying to make for the move onto Danger Puget. Gonna go side by side. Bit of contact. And they're still gonna be going side by side. Puget meanwhile. And how will Barrett respond? Barrett swings for the outside. Maybe he tries to take a bit of speed advantage, carrying through for turn 1 if he's ever going to do so. Out from the exit. Can't get quite close enough. I'm already losing my voice here, and it's just incredible. George again, with licensing issues, still managed to keep it cool and down on track as it stands. Out from 5 they go. Hard breaking zone through 6. See there with George trying to make a move down through Cameron, but hasn't quite much. Cameron is also trying to make a move onto DePuget. Through 7 they go. Then the S's of 8 and 9 gently closing to these drivers. Toyota leads, followed by the 2 Peugeots behind. That was Cameron trying to make for a move. Oh my word! And he spins round. Massive snap there from Cameron. Unfortunately, relegates himself down to 5th. A lot of ground to try and catch up down that low, and fortunate there for him. We'll have about 4.5 seconds to try and make up. Although the pole sitter sets only man that was ever faster or matched his pace during qualifying was Josh Hughes. If he can put quality-like pace in the next 60 minutes, we can see him probably catch him to the field, especially with everyone else clearly battling on. Also might be paying a bit of advantage as well to the Kiwi. 5 sets off here from turn 1 they go. And it's just starting to spread off just a bit still, but within a second, Hughes from Barrett and then Puget from Williams. See if anything can be done here from turn 6. Nothing much here. 3 to 7. Josh Hughes is slowly catching through the gap now. It's improved by about a second between himself and Barrett, and in Puget it's about 2 seconds in between himself and Barrett, but it's about 6/10 between Alpen to Puget. We'll keep an eye out through that random board with with Al Williams, who's trying to make his charge up through the field. Breaking hard through the final corner. Williams with a pretty good accent. You can see with the sunset just slowly starting to dawn here. With the slipstream, how much can he put through that Peugeot? Nearly 300 kilometers an hour, just shy of it before turn 1, and wasn't expecting for Puget to go wide through the first corner. George had to respond to that. Out for 3 they go. It still holds on through to third for the time being. Gap is just gently closing a bit more. Ooh, a bit of a wiggle from Jay, heading down through the next series of corners. That might have been another lag we've seen from George, but still fine. No harm done through 6, down up through 7. Swings round for 8. And then another swing through 9, a little less on the throttle. Down through again, coming through 10, and then stretches out through, out from 11, hugs that through, just hold a bit for the apex. Triple apex of 12, 13, 14 are coming. Hold it through, can hear for the tires screeching. That's going to put off long wear to the tires if you're deviating out from the race line to try like make an overtake. Bit of lag again. Puget goes wide, and look at this, one from the outside from Cameron, from George. If is going to make the move, maybe make it stinky, does so. And then through the final corner, George goes. Brilliant overtake from the Welshman, and gets himself through onto the podium. How will he be able to respond? He does respond almost immediately now, side by side between these two drivers, heading out for turn 1. Jay's going to try and swing for the outside of turn 1 if he ever does so. George sees this, able to hold on through to the inside line. Jay holds it through, and George responds by blocking his line. After that was probably lag. Can't be able to tell much more. Fantastic move from George to still defend through. I don't think Jay might have liked that, I think, as a out through turn. Turn through 4 and 5. A bit gravel there from Puget. See with Cameron benefit a couple of times, or Hughes has actually benefited from it multiple times from Puget's mistakes. The gap gently closing up to about 6/10 now for the time being. Alice will come down through. Go for at the exit. Puget still just gently slowing down. Oh, and we see with camera now through back. Exits out through 12, 13, 14, 15. stretches out for 15. That still hasn't made quite much of a charge that we've seen. He has closed up the gap, but clearly on Josh Hughes' pace. We'll see here. And look at this. Depuchet trying to benefit from the slipstream. Cameron won't be able to respond. Just going to follow it through. Depuchet side by side now with George. Going to head down for turn one. Makes the move. George holds on for the inside line. This is going to be absolutely close. And what a fantastic overtake from George to retake the third place position. But this is going to allow for Cameron to filter into this fight. Depuchet down the inside for turn two. And he's going to make it work. Yes, he is. George is trying to find a way to make it through. Cameron Swan up behind. He's going to be able to see what he can do to benefit from this. Up through four he goes. George looks almost for four. Super close we're seeing here. And was almost ended in tears between these two drivers, but still maintain the composure. Cameron able to benefit from this. Through six they go. Ooh. And Cameron, a bit of a slip and slide, just has to stick behind. Out from 7 they go. And this is allowed for Jay to at least push some sort of a gap at least. Ooh, George. Bit too much there for on the grass. Still manages to try and hold on to his cool. It's not too much on there for the grass. I know it's too much for on the sand. From the far corner he goes. And here we go. Gonna see for the slipstream trying to hold on to Puget as much as he possibly can. So we're gonna see move from Cameron behind. He is gonna get pretty close. Fantastic battle we'll see between these two drivers. Meanwhile, the gap up ahead, 1.5 seconds between Hughes and Barrett behind. Let's go! George for the inside for turn 10! Almost ended tears. Cameron hits behind George. Wasn't expecting him to go so deep, I imagine. And turn 12 they go. And he's just trying to see if he can make any move onto Puget. Sorry, 7, 8 and 9, not 10, my apologies. That was for the move for 6. This is the move from 10. They go. And again, just thing for George to see what he can do to make the move into Puget. Cameron wide to get through that series of corners. Have seen it do it before. Puget goes wide for the gravel as well. Oh, through 15 they go. Swings right through for the 5 corner. 16. Cameron behind. Almost makes for the move. Down for turn 16. George wasn't trying to do it. George hits the rear fender of Puget and loses it and has lost the position over to Cameron. And Cameron now with the slipstream, able to make a move maybe to Puget. Got a bit sideways up from 1, not exactly what he needs, especially for his quest for up the field. That was the pole sitter. Could be ended in a bit horrendous with down in tears. It's about 10 seconds. The gap between the Puget and Hughes. Just able to Benji remaining. Cameron almost looks through, makes contact. I think we've done it again, I believe. Super close. Of course, they be able to be able to take hits these kinds of races, but still not much ideal indeed. Of course, dual slips around from there. Look at this down the inside of 10. Is he going to be able to pull it off? He might be able to actually pull it off. The Puget goes a bit wide. George might be able to benefit from this if anything goes any way. And Puget still holds on through with the speed and just holds on to for now. 4, 12, 13, there you go. Through 15! A little bit of gravel! Through 15! And still, Puget holds on for to lead. And George trying to benefit from it, can't really do much. Just sticks through behind. Slipstream now to George's advantage now, 1/10 off behind. If George will make the move, could make it to turn 1. If he utilizes as much as his slipstream as he can, the turn is given him. Is he able to do so? No, he can't, not quite yet. Looking over through to the set of compounds, Barrett the only one to utilize the hards on the left hand side of his car. The right, just thinking the mediums will do just fine. The rest of the drivers, you believe that the mediums will be the better way round for it to go. And also look for the energy remaining as it stands. Ooh, a bit of contact! Cameron off again! And he breaks on for on track. And we might see our first retirement. It is our first retirement. It's unfortunate for the pole sitter in Cameron that was doing just so well up from the start of the race, battling up with Hughes. Marks it only down to 4 cars left remaining here at the RPL Le Mans Series. Pitching up to the front. That was George, just a bit too much curb. Way too much curb. Still holds it on a bit for the time being. That was John Barrett going wide out from 15. And Josh Hughes still holds on to the lead a bit for the time being. We go in the back there from Barrett. That is Puget through the final corner he goes. It is going to be, well, at least Josh Hughes will be one Toyota less to try and get the maximum amount of points for the manufacturers. But Teal Barrett and Puget will carry through with the max points for their hypercar manufacturers. It stands 50 minutes left to go here at RPL. Again, still falling a bit behind. We've seen it a bit before. George can able to catch up to Jay. It'll be a bit to his advantage. Closest one on track that we have now for the time being. From the final corner that these two go. 51% all across the board, apart from Hughes. Hughes the only one down to 50. George actually has catched up a much, not actually 5/10 for the span of those series of corners. 8, 9, breaks hard down through 10. Through the final corner they go. Agent Puget immediately senses George's danger. Tries to hold up for the line to defend. Final corner they go. And George is pretty close to Jay as he's ever has been. Using the slipstream for the Peugeot. And George 3/10 faster from that final lap, just compared to Jay. Can he make the move, though, is the question. More tense between himself and Puget. Barrett is slowly catching down, 3 seconds down to 2.5. Can swing the momentum to his favor. Puget off the racing line. Tries to go defensive once again. I think that was a bit too much on the gravel, as we've seen before. Not much they can do. George almost looks down for it, but can't do much. Just has to keep behind now for the time being. Out for 7. 389 and they go. And breaking hard through 10. George can't dive bomb, just has to keep through behind. Swings out for 11. Then through 12. Through 13. And then through 14. Just a short straight out from the exit, breaking through 15. Is he catching up? We have to see. 310s, I think it's been plateaued a bit between Puget and Williams through this course of the lap. Out from the final corner they go. George has a better exit. Both of them will be able to go through across the line. And this time it's to Puget, that's 6 thousandths off. Slower. George, I think, is 6 thousandths off from to Puget. No, to Puget is 6 thousandths slower, I think. I'll let you learn this again. Gap closes to about 3 tenths more now. Closest one for on track. Don't forget to mention, pit stops play a crucial role here. Seeing teams being able to benefit from overcutting and undercutting. Several times we've seen in the F1 leagues here at the RPL. And just trying to keep it through to Puget. He does. Again, this is the battle for the last podium place here at the Le Mans Ultimate. Good exit for the time being. 45 minutes over and so to go. Ooh, a little bit on the curve for George. He keeps it under control. 15 they go. That used to be the 310s that Jay has managed to gain. Has now reduced. I think George has got a bit of a benefit for the second and third sectors than Jay has. But at least Jay has, I think, a benefit from the first sector. They'll both go across the line. And see how the last lap time has changed. Oh wow, 500s. Again, just similar paces between these two, but they're gaining it at very different ways. Clearly, Puget's benefit a lot more for these series of corners, and George, as we've seen, gains a lot from the hard braking zones, and especially for the final corner. Only for a track now for the time being. And see if there's anything move that George can do. It is now under 41 minutes left to go. No one has yet made a pit stop here from the 70 minutes that's happened. Of course, the 35 minute will be our halfway point here at Lusail. Gap between Hughes and Barrett improved to about 3 seconds now. And the sun has really started to set here at Lusail. The warm evening is now transforming into the cold of night. That's probably for the overcast of it in meaning. To Puget just again trying to go on for the defensive, as he has done for a couple of laps. Not going to allow him to really stretch out for his race pace. Better exit though from the final quarter from George. If there's any move to be made here, it's going to be now. Let's see if there's going to be anything here at hand. George 1/10 faster than Jay was from that series, and it was about thousands and hundreds that only Jay was faster in the last 2 laps. And George responds by being about a 10th quicker. So that's all very good, at least for the Welshman's hands. The Puget must feel for him how must be worried for it. This is probably George's best chance just yet. And Jay just parks it on for the apex. On for exit on 6. Again, not much that George could do to fully commit to it from Jay's positioning, and especially needs to be careful from the accelerating standpoint. Through there, he's going to look it down through turn 10, and will it make it work this time? And it does so. From turn 10, George finally gets the move done and promotes himself up into third here at RPL, the Le Mans Ultimate series. Great move, and can stretch the Peugeot's legs a bit further to really properly show what it can do. Of course, this is the best lap time. To Puget, to Puget is actually 2 hundredths faster on his best lap time than George was. So at least the thing is that De Puget will have the benefit of the slipstream now to come through his way. Gotta see for the rest of the series how this will continue on to kick off. We mentioned before, a good start through onto the series here, but indeed it will continue on through and carry on. I think we've mentioned it a bit before. Lusail will be continue on through hosting this. Lusail has always been a staple here, concluding over through at Bahrain, but meanwhile through that, our European League will come up next as the kickstart starts through September. September will host a plethora of European rounds, bar one next week over Monza, then we'll over to Int'l, Portimao, Spa, and then to kick off through on October it is Le Mans at Circuit de la Sarthe. Interlagos in Sao Paulo for October, the South American round. Then up to north for Sebring in October as well. Then back to Japan for Fuji, or return back to the Asian continent. So this is going to pretty much kickstart the Asian rounds. Then following over our conclusion at Bahrain. I have 10 races here, and a good way to kick off start here to be able to get our momentum, carry on forth through to Monza, which is also similar to a high-speed track in regards to the technicality that Qatar offers. Different sort of racing strengths need to be played at hand at Monza in comparison to Qatar. Of course, with these drivers being in with these hypercars, does play for a key role, especially for how the rest of the season will progress. Monza over for September, then still in the Italian landscape for Circuit do Enzo Alberto Ferrari. Portimao for Circuit d'Algarve. Portimao. Spa Francorchamps. And then Circuit de Sarthe, Interlagos Circuit, the Sebring Airfield Circuit, Fuji, the Fuji Speedway, and then Bahrain for the Bahrain International Circuit. George still holding on for the gap between himself and Puget now, as it stands, just improved by about 6/10 now. 10 seconds is the gap between himself and Barrett. That has also been not at all expanded, so that's also pretty good. But meanwhile, 4.6 seconds, so Hughes is actually gaining by about 1.6 seconds last time we've checked. Gently approaching for the halfway point. 35 minutes left to go. And to Puget benefits from the first sector. Has to brake very, very early through turn 6, and that was George, I think, having a little bit of a lag once again. Puget needs to be pretty careful from where he needs to make his overtake. 3 to 7 they go. Pretty good exit. Still just falls in behind. Is there going to be any move from Puget? No move yet from Puget for now. Just holds on to. Holds on to 4th. Out from 14, 13, 12, 13, 14 they go. 7 degree, 15. Works very hard for the final corner. To Puget at least being benefiting from this. Having to trail George behind for this lap. Clawed it back down, 8 tenths now. Looks for the move. Is we're going to see another move at hand. George being able to try and squeeze him a bit and tries to mitigate through, just pushing him as much to the race as he possibly can. We'll probably imagine trying to swing for him out around the outside. Puget makes the move even done. George holds on through turn 1, almost makes the move. No, he's going to swing for the air on the outside of turn 1. Puget, I think, senses him. Just holds on through turn 2. And a good move from Puget. Holds through 3rd. So how will George respond? George looks over for the inside of turn 6. Super close. Could have ended in tears, but wasn't quite close enough. And that was extremely unexpected. I don't even think Jay was expecting it, regardless of I. Out from 7 they go. Through 8. Down for the 9! And don't think George was expecting a break that soon from Puget. Had to take a face in action. Loses a lot of time. I think about 4 tenths just from that moment. And I think we're seeing Puget also losing that momentum a bit for the time being as well. Now it's down to 4 tenths from the triple apex through 15 they go. Final corner. Looks around through slipstream Avail to George. So it's the position he was defending, so now he's going to be on the attacking now. 1 tenth now, going to make the move for turn 1. He lets go of the gas just a bit. It's 2 tenths heading through turn 1. Can benefit from the exit of 2. Still has to keep on through behind. And Jay's going pretty slow compared to George's benefit. How do you want to go? Turn 3 they go. But still. Ooh, George for the inside. We see the move happen again. They make contact. Is it going to be making through? Pushes him off just a bit off. Bit of contact in the back from Puget, and they bang wheels through turn 7. And Puget still holds on through. Down for the inside line. George makes contact for him once again. Out from 8, coming through 9. And it was a move we've seen George done many times before. He throws it down for the inside. Come through turn 10. Jay almost tries to look for the switchback, but George parks on for the apex. Getting a bit heated between these two for exchanging positions. Can't seem to get each other's escape from each other's wrath for the time being. The most that was escaped was George's overtake, 8 tenths. But ever since then, Puget has been able to respond. And hopefully not too much bodywork damage onto both of their cars out from that spectacle. Final corner they go. Puget slips him advantage. George has to respond in some way or other. How will it happen? Turn 1 they go. George is still just holding on to 3rd for the time being. It's Puget down behind. Just doing what he can for 4th. Still, 4 cars left remaining. Past the halfway point now. I don't think anyone else has. No one has yet made their stops for the time being. Q 6 seconds away from Barrett. 13 seconds now. That infighting has cost DePugit and Alp Williams 3 seconds from that fighting. And DePugit late on the brakes, nearly collected George. Had to go off the racing line in order to avoid him. And that has cost him dearly. 1 second now. And the deficit that we've seen sort of hardly being a second higher has gently paid off into George's favor. .350 they go. It's now 1.5 seconds between Williams, Alp Williams and DePugit. Pugit just a bit too much out there from the final corner. These two go. We'll actually see on through their best laps. DePugit, the first one to make their pit stops. What could we do here for DePugit? And we'll also keep an eye on for the... Oh, he's retired. Second retirement here. So that means we're down to 3 cars here at the Le Mans Ultimate Series. Alp Williams 14 seconds off from Barrett. Barrett 6.6 seconds. Just keeping my eye out through to see if there will be any more developments from going. Doesn't seem to be, at least from my perspective. That's okay. Yeah, just see DePugit and Cameron Fields, the sole retirees for the time being. Right on with Josh Hughes, who's done pretty well to, well, a Toyota took pole position. He was about a couple hundredths off. And, yeah, it's been a pretty good run for Josh indeed himself. He's just pushing it more. Now 7 seconds, so it's more than double than what we've seen probably a quarter ago. Oh, and Josh on the gravel. Will that cost his momentum dearly? Let's see. No, it still manages to pull away. Thought that would have cost him a bit of time, but Barrett doesn't seem to be doing that well either. Actually, it was 4 tenths slower. Did he? I'm wondering if he must have made like a mistake of something. I will want to have a seat just to see how this has gone. For the first sector, he doesn't go wide. Ooh, that snap is very lucky that he managed to save that. Well, that might have cost him the 4 tenths initially we were talking about. And the gravel too. 20%, 19-20 for each other. Barrett still the only one on the hards. Just right on board with Williams for the time being. Just under 30 minutes left to go. Does it go just a bit sideways, but seems to be fine. Down to second gear through turn 6. Stretches through 7. Pretty long hairpin. Then stretches up through to 8. Tight on the brakes through 9. Down in second gear once again. Or 3 for the higher radii through turn 10. Out from 11. Will touch just a bit on the apex. There he is, he does so. Not enough downforce through 12, 13, 14, 14 to go flat out, but still technical nonetheless. Feels more stretched out as well, so gathers more speed, which means that the brake placement is all the more important. 15 he goes. Gears up through 5, cards down through 3. More the accelerator. It does so. Through 4th. 5th. It stretches all the way up to 6th gear. Nearly reaching 300 kilometers an hour before braking very hard down for 4th and 3rd. He stretches out a bit too much. Off the racing line, but he keeps the hold under control. Over the 3, 130 kilometers apex speed. X's out pretty good, flat out through 3. Just need another man come into the pits actually. Int'l Barrett. He'll exit out. 60 kilometers an hour, of course. And 30 seconds gap between, well, it's actually grown even more. 45 seconds the gap between himself and Hughes. So minus 3 from that, we'll see how. Actually missed the pit limiter by about a few seconds, so that might cost him a bit more. That's about 80 seconds overall between himself and the leader. Just for the time being. Let's see with Hughes at least. We'll see here with the virtual energy is slowly depleting, approaching into the reds now for Josh. He's doing 303 kilometers, bringing hard down through turn 1. Down to second gear, all the way down to 3rd through turn 2. Out there from a good exit, not too much of the gravel, at least. We'll be fine. Through 4, up through 5th, off forwards a bit for the gravel once again. From 6, brings hard down through 3, on through turn 4, through to 5. Pretty good exit. Does so with ease. Over 207 kilometers before braking way down all the way over to 78 kilometers an hour before accelerating all the way out through 6. Stretches it out. Very long elbow through 7. Just have to be very careful on the throttle. Just touches a bit. 210 kilometers on the apex. X's out pretty well. Flats out 250 kilometers. Brakes just a bit of tap on the exit. And another tap once again. Nearly just over 100 kilometers an hour. On for the apex. Gonna get it pretty good. And he does so with ease. From 10. Stretches out for 11. Nearly approaching 265 kilometers an hour. Tap of the brakes, 222. Breaks it down, just get still maintaining 200 kilometers an hour. Breaking through once again just under 200 kilometers through those 3 apexes. And then brakes hard a bit down to 180 kilometers an hour. Pretty good exit out through here. Bridged over for 260 around. And then brakes hard very hard down through second gear. 220 kilometers out from a good exit. And then accelerates on through. He is reaching 300 kilometers an hour through the longest straight on the circuit before it breaks hard very, very hard down through turn 1. with Barrett as 44% and Hughes 5, George 9. I think George will be the last later of the pit stoppers here. I think we all manage as it stands. Still, to Puget Fields, the only 2 retirements that we have thus far. Makes it only just to 3 drivers with 3 manufacturers. Of course, to see who will take the first lead. Hughes, of course, being a very strong contender with his race pace. Could end in tears as George too much of the gravel through his 2 tires. Holds on through. Of course, the current Toyota have not... don't think they have run a race so far in 2025 with the balance of performance. From the final corner, George goes. Which is on through. I think we might see other people come down through to the pits very soon. We will see that momentarily. Cheers. You can see here, Hughes has gone into the pits. Barrett's still in the mediums. George will take provisional lead now as it stands. In 20 minutes left to go. He's made his scheduled pit stop, so he was waiting for Hughes to bite the bullet. Hughes did indeed bite the bullet. If there's anything, the gap that Barrett might have done on the undercut, now will be the good time to see so. Let's see here. Gonna see Barrett maybe on the 4 screen, or at least for the gap. Still 54 seconds. He exits out. Hughes is on still 2% for some reason. Did he pit? Not quite sure what's happened there. I think he must have pitted. The virtual energy is still saying that Josh is at 2%. That's a bit worrying if it's come down to that degree. Although, I'm not sure how this might have happened. George himself comes in through the pits. The overlay has updated. He's now 37. Matches us up with Barrett. Both of them going to go through to the end. George, relatively, I imagine, would pit for the same with 18 minutes left to go. Just the next time for the window. Be able to run qualifying-esque runs from the Peugeot driver. Of course, the Toyota and the Porsche behind. Not alone at all. George goes into the pits. The gap has actually climbed a lot since Hughes gone in, so it seems to be like late cutting seemed to be the better strategy here. And in through the pits, George goes, and that means that Hughes will be able to retake through the lead. The question is between whether George's late pit strategy has paid off a bit dividends to maybe an second place for Barrett. Might be close, but it could be possible. We'll have to see through the evidence. He X's out. There goes Hughes. And we're going to see Barrett it might be close. It also might be close between George and there's Barrett. See in the foreground, background. And it's not quite close enough for George, but it could be enough for himself to submit. He's been close to Barrett at least from 10 seconds, and he's climbed that back up. He has indeed pinned it, as indeed with the compound change. Has to put in a good amount of pace in order to try and catch up to Barrett if possible in the remaining few laps of this race. 15 minutes left to go here. And has indeed pinned 33% percentage energy for himself, compared for the rest of 25 just for Hughes. Anyone's guess as to maybe see who might come out for second place, although it does seem to be fading a bit way into Barrett's favour. Barrett also set the fastest lap time to compare it to Hughes, 41.8 his time, 41.9 for Hughes, and it's the fastest that we've seen them on track. They're going to use with low fuel, fresher tyre compound. It's going to go all the way down through to the end. Williams goes through the final corner. We'll see what can be mustered here. Gap calms it down to about 4 seconds. It is actually going to be gated a bit to Thiel's favor. 15 seconds though. Team Barrett and Hughes. Again, just can almost see a pin drop for the pressure here for first ever RPL Le Mans Ultimate race. Bigger attendance, and I think there are scheduled to be a couple more races, racers here on track. We'll continue on fourth with more exciting RPL action in forthcoming, especially with the Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1 Formula 1 leagues. That continues on through all the weekdays. Le Mans Ultimate Series through on Sundays. Same time, same place. Over as we head over to Monza, then Imola. That will kick stuff through the series in September for us. Final corner for George. It's gained up a bit to about 4 seconds. It's just not a gain, not a loss. It's benefiting more than where Barrett is, but Barrett is benefiting more where George is. That's the thing. And it's still only about 4 seconds off from 13 minutes left to go. little bit so we'll have to go here at the Le Mans Ultimate Series here at the Realistic Performance League. Hughes done incredible from where he started back over in second place to fend off from teammate Cameron Fields to take charge through to the lead. To Puget almost looked to provide an upset as well with Tian, but best that they can manage through up for that field was third and fourth. Retirements from Cameron Fields and Puget means that we've got 3 cars left remaining here at this series here, but the race will still continue on through. 10 minutes left to go here from the 70 minutes that has quickly started with cars that have been driving here for around an hour and slowly coming down here. Closest fight on track we have now, George Williams 4 seconds away from Tion Barrett, and it's 14 seconds after that between Barrett and Hughes. Barrett's been absolutely putting on a storm of a race, but I believe Hughes has been putting on an absolute storm of a race. However, I believe Tion Barrett has got the faster lap, 41.7 for himself. Josh Hughes, 41.9 in the dying stages here of the race. And then afterwards, George Williams, his best 142.4. Of course, the ones that did for the longer stints with the heavier fuel and the heavy tire, best that Dave Puget can do, 43.1, and Cameron Fields, 43.2. Gravel race that we've seen thus far. 11 minutes left to go here. Anyone's guess is to see for the positions that where it can be. Of course, lots of things can happen here in endurance racing, and critical 10 minutes these are to see for where George can do to be able to catch up to Tion Barrett. How will Tion Barrett able to respond? 4.3 seconds. It's gained about 3/10 over the last couple series of laps, but George has actually managed to catch up through sometimes as well. Previous sector 26.2 for the first sector from Barrett, 26.8 for George, but George 43.5 invalidated for Barrett, but we do know it's about 43.8 for Hughes, so that means that George's fastest second sector, I believe. Final sector 32.1 for Barrett, 33.0 for Hughes. Hughes is actually letting go of the gas just a bit, and that's why it's probably down to 13.8 seconds, what used to be from 14 or 15 seconds, and George goes across the line, 32.1 for himself. So he's actually managing to gain just a little bit. Look over through the time screens and definitely invalidated because of Tion Barrett's invalidation through second sector. Brings round through. Again, closest spot we have on track now for the time being. And you can see the gap here from the static camera. Under 10 minutes left to go now here. 4.7 seconds between Barrett and Alp Williams. I think Barrett's putting his foot down, 26.4. George, 26.6. Second sector, Barrett 43.3. George 43.4. So he is gaining by about a tenth or more for each sector. That's going to add up pretty massively to Barrett's favour. Final corner they go. That's a pretty big gap at least. Barrett 700ths, which means that George actually did improve a lot for the fall sector. So we have seen with how these drivers do cater towards their racing skill set. The pressure does really seem to benefit George's driving through the third sector, especially for the triple apex and turn 15. But everywhere else, Tion Barrett has George B, and but at least it's just a bit healthier. But for the time being, again, the best lap times we've seen before. Tion Barrett 5/10 faster than George throughout this race. Throughout the race in terms of best laps, but hardly anyone can challenge Barrett in these circumstances, in these cases. Already an hour and 2 minutes have passed. I have about 7 minutes left to go. And it's feel the nervousness, the anticipation sort of just gently building up. Barrett is losing once again to Hughes. Catching up now to 15 seconds between Hughes and Barrett. Meanwhile, down for the back, Alp Williams can't seem to do anything to climb that 3-second gap down further. In fact, it's just pushed him further away. It's now 3.7. Then he go out to 4 for the final corner. But a bit to his advantage through the third sector. Again, his benefit, just Tion Barrett 32.9, 32.1 for Alp Williams. For the last lap, George actually improved by about 0.3. So I want to see if he'd be able to close that, I wonder. We're down 6 minutes left to go. Can George climb this up in 6 minutes? Seems unlikely. Of course, done pretty good during preseason testing, especially last time out here in Le Mans. Now he got through third place. A fierce battle for the end. I think meant the best that he could do was fourth, I believe. But yeah. Very long time ago, opens up for a new page, a new chapter here for RPL. 15 seconds sits between Hughes and Barrett now. Toyota not faulting Hughes in any way imaginable. The man from Kelly's would be extremely happy to be crowned the first ever race winner at the RPL Le Mans series. Barrett did everything he possibly could. Fending off from Puget. Came the fastest Porsche through qualifying. This was probably the best that he could manage. Bit for the time being. Still going to put on a pretty good run. And a good charge up for the field. Nearly lost actually the gap between himself and Williams, having to one of the earlier pitters. At least it's benefited him, I believe. George runs up through top 3 now as it stands. Puget retired from the collisions with George before heading over to the pits to retire. And Cameron Fields having been the pole sitter, leading for a good lap. A fierce battle with, I believe, himself and Barrett had an absolute barnstormer of a start. Don't forget to imagine going 3 wide down to turn 1, takes up for the lead. Just couldn't manage to hold it in that much longer, but still, regardless, pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. Just unfortunate for Cameron. Converted his pole set, but can't do much for a win. Was looking very close to a Grand Slam if he could be able to replicate his feat. Although 2 incidents coming over for turn 6 and turn 10, demoted him down to the back. Caught up back up to this battle for P3 between Alp Williams, Puget, and himself. Nothing can materialize at a spun, just about 90 calling this day early. Again, Puget, fierce battle with George. Very intense. Unfortunately cost him. Must have might have too much damage. And George effectively been running his own race, trying to close the gap to Barrett now. Has not been catching up, just 4.7 seconds to put himself in the leader and second place. Barrett, meanwhile, nearly 15 seconds. Hughes is just letting go of the front, I believe, once again. That are a bit of mistakes as we've seen before. Has now made it down to 13.8. 2 minutes left to go. Everyone has indeed made their stops. See on through. Hughes, Barrett, Alt Williams. The only ones who have actually been alive to see their pit stops. All the others have not. Positions gained through and positions lost as well. Alt Williams having started from P5. Biggest skater indeed. Made a couple series of overtakes on the way to P3 indeed. Barrett just improves by one. Having started P3 and Hughes P2. It might be the first time a pole sitter is not actually, at least here in the broadcasting. Attention now back towards Josh Hughes now. 90 seconds left to go here on the series. George's just catching up. It's only 4 seconds still between himself and Barrett. 17 seconds overall the gap. I think he might have enough to go for one more lap if he so wishes. Slow down just a bit. Gone a bit wide for turn 7. Think he might just take his time. Coming through the S's. Breaks out for 10. "35 seconds, 34, 33, 32, 30. He's going to go through 30 seconds now. Exiting out through the triple apex corner on 14. Through 15. This will probably might be the final lap. It might be very close. We'll see. If he's on a different fuel strategy, he'll probably prolong as much as he possibly can. There we go. 10 seconds left remaining. He will make it 1 lap left remaining. Oh no, he's parking on the apex. He's waiting for the grid to drop. Is that the checker flag? 0 minutes remaining. Has he parked it too much? The timer's done, but I don't think the checker flag has dropped. Could it out in haywire for Hughes after that? I don't know. I don't know. I think they're still going on, I believe. And they're still racing at full speed. I think they must be. That means we have 1 lap left to go. Is it hard? Is this why he's been trying to prolong it? Maybe he has enough energy. Guess it was a bit too close for comfort for himself to catch up to Barrett. Barrett, meanwhile, has a good opportunity to take the win from Hughes if he ever so wishes. Out from turn 6 they go. Barrett, the first ones to head into the pits. The closest of close margins. What used to be so nice for Hughes could end in disaster. Last lap, indeed, to reach 6 seconds in comparison to Barrett. Up from turn 10 they go now. Pushes the gap just a bit further away from Barrett's reach. Barrett's going to do everything he possibly can to mitigate, try and punish Josh Hughes' mistake. Too much of the gravel though from Barrett. I think it might have put his charge out on hold. And what can you say? A very good demanding charge from Josh Hughes. Rounds through turn 16. He's going to become the first ever race winner here in the RPL here at Qatar. Crosses the line. What a win. And he celebrates by breakdancing on the home stretch. Tion Barrett, morales his late charge. Best that he could do is second. Josh Williams, Williams finishes over in third. Crashes head first over against through Barrett. What a incredible situation and way of things we're doing here. Look over at the results now on for your screen. Josh Hughes, good win from him. Man in second place. Fierce fight with Cameron and Barrett and cultivates up with the win. Nearly ended it in utter tears for him, but at least he still did well to hold on to that. Tion Barrett, upon his late charge, I think the best that he could do was second indeed. 13.6 seconds, and George Williams thus completes through the only 3 cars that had finished the race. here at the 70 minutes here at Qatar. Dage opponent over in 4th, and Cameron Field in 5th did not finish because of their respective retirements. And that's for completes for very interesting 5-car race here in the Realistic Performance League here at the Le Mans Ultimate. Looking over through for the calendar just real quick before we head off. Again, continue on through. We'll be over next week here at Monza at September the 7th. Same time, same place. It's going to see a lot more cars here. But the Realistic Performance League is underway here at the Le Mans Ultimate. We'll continue on through with more fantastic action, including our F1 25 leagues as well through that. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I've been Amir Oates, and we'll see you over next time here.